There's a lot of anticipation for today's hearings. The committee says it will present newly obtained evidence and testimony.
In the midst of the January 6 committee's hearings, a dramatic moment.
Live testimony from a White House advisor who was right there in the West Wing on January 6th.
A surprise witness.
During the Watergate hearings, there was only one surprise witness. It was Alexander Butterfield. Well, in the January 6 hearings, the surprise witness is Cassidy Hutchinson.
Cassidy Hutchinson, a 25-year-old White House staffer.
The most intimidating thing is all those cameras sitting 1 foot from her face taking pictures of her.
This is a young woman standing in a setting that could almost feel amphitheatrical.
I was with Cassidy on the day of her testimony. During it, I'm sitting behind her. She was incredibly nervous, I think like any normal person would be to do this. There was a time beforehand where she wanted to back out because it was really scary to go up against the President of the United States and speak the truth is something that only a few people will know.
She was a hardcore Trump loyalist, and she's getting ready to destroy the tribe that she gets her identity from. I've been there, right? I've been in that moment. It was pretty awe-inspiring, to be quite honest with you.
I will now swear in our witness.
Knowing how Trump had become so intimidating a person for people who crossed him, and this one young woman doing what so many other much older, frequently male staffers wouldn't do, which is come forward and testifying truthfully under oath.
Whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Inside the White House, Hutchinson had been a top aide to Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and in the room during key events the committee was investigating.
Hutchinson was a crucial witness in terms of helping to shine a light on the president's state of mind because so few people were capable of doing that.
Hutchinson revealed details about Trump's plans for January 6th.
On January 2nd, 4 days before the attack on our Capitol, President Trump's lead lawyer, Mr. Giuliani, was meeting with White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and others. Ms. Hutchinson, we understand that you walked Mr. Giuliani out of the White House that night, and he talked to you about January 6th. What do you remember him saying?
As Mr. Giuliani and I were walking to his vehicles that evening, he looked at me and said something to the effect of, "Cass, are you excited for the 6th? It's going to be a great day." I remember looking at him saying, "Rudy, could you explain what's happening on the 6th? He had responded something to the effect of, "We're going to the Capitol. It's going to be great. The president's going to be there. He's going to look powerful."
She clearly had nothing to gain by doing it. She was telling the truth as she saw it. This poised, composed young woman with no obvious axe to grind, as she's telling her story, it's the most powerful moment, I think, in the entire hearings.
And I found Mr. Meadows in his office scrolling through his phone. I remember leaning against the doorway and saying, "I just had an interesting conversation with Rudy, Mark. Sounds like we're going to go to the Capitol." He didn't look up from his phone and said something to the effect of, "There's a lot going on, Cass, but I don't know. Things might get real, real bad on January 6th.
Tensions are running high. 30,000 supporters of the president are gathering right now.
They're having what they're calling a Stop the Steal rally.
And on January 6th, Hutchinson was in the president's inner circle.
I think the campaign is aware that January 6th would be the last stand. Once that certification happens on the 6th, that it's really over.
Ms. Hutchinson, did you go to the rally in the presidential motorcade?
I was there, yes.
And were you backstage with the president and other members of his staff and family?
I was.
It was in the tent backstage that Hutchinson heard crucial evidence of what Trump knew about the potential for violence that day.
When we were in the offstage announce area tent behind the stage, he was very concerned about the shot, meaning the photograph that we would get, because the rally space wasn't full.
The former president was unhappy with the crowd size. We learned that some of the crowd size inside the barricade was due to the fact that people were unwilling to pass through the magnetometers. Presumably because they were carrying contraband weapons.
Several thousand members of the crowd who refused to go through the mags watched from the lawn near the Washington Monument.
I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away.
There was awareness that there were weapons in that crowd, and that Trump didn't care because, as he put it, they're not here for me. Which begs the question, well, who are they here for?
Let's reflect on that for a moment. President Trump was aware that a number of the individuals in the crowd had weapons and were wearing body armor. And here's what President Trump instructed the crowd to do.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol. Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
He told them to fight over and over and over again. And he told them if they don't fight, you're not going to have a country anymore. What could be more existential to his supporters than, if I don't fight here and now, America's gone? That's what he's telling them.
And he focused the crowd on his last hope for overturning the election, Mike Pence.
And Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country.
He has not been able to convince Pence directly, but he's seeing the crowd for him there, and he was willing to continue the pressure campaign with an army.
And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you, I will tell you right now.
Look at that speech, at how many times he invokes the name Mike Pence. Over and over and over again. He is telling that crowd, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but many times, that the thing they want most, which is to keep Joe Biden from becoming president, that the one person that can make it happen is Mike Pence.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
It's important not just to focus on what he said, but on the entire context, the way he had been spreading the big lie, that he had gathered people together, that he called the mob to Washington, D.C. For January 6th, specifically for this moment. This was sponsored by the President of the United States, who had lied to his own supporters and convinced them that something could happen on January 6th that would change the outcome of the election.
While the special counsel did not directly charge Trump with inciting violence, prosecutors have pointed to his speech repeatedly.
That day was the culmination of the defendant's criminal conspiracies to overturn the legitimate results of the presidential election, when the defendant directed a large and angry crowd to the Capitol to obstruct the congressional certification proceeding.
The First Amendment standard for incitement is extremely difficult to reach. But what the special counsel does instead is wrap it into the concept of obstruction. That Trump is whipping up the crowd in order to obstruct what's going on in the Senate.
So let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
That's the way you build the outrage over the speech and over the riot into causes of action, into criminal charges that the special counsel knows that he could prove.
Donald Trump has insisted that his speech that day was totally appropriate, and called the crowd peaceful people. And his defenders question whether a jury should sit in judgment of a president's speech at all.
I do not find that charge to be sustainable, irrespective of whether a jury could return a verdict on it. I do not find that charge to be sustainable on appeal for First Amendment reasons. That's a bad idea. You don't like what happened there about what the president said, remove him from office, okay? Don't elect him president of the United States ever again. That's the solution to that one.
I do understand the argument that prosecuting a president criminally is incredibly divisive, but the Constitution as it currently stands and federal statutes as they currently stand do not exempt the president from the operation of law. If you don't believe the president should be subject to law, amend the Constitution. But until it's amended, the president is a citizen just like the rest of us.